Naila, why is English language important to learn?
This is because English language is an international language and is widely followed and understood by people across the world.
I want to learn this language.
To learn every language, there are some skills to develop. Follow this class to learn these skills.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, viewers of MTA Africa. We welcome you once again to our program, English Language for Junior High School. We are having our lesson 10, the continuation of our discussion on letter writing. Class, you are welcome to the program. Let's look at the topic for today. It's on outline of formal letters. We are looking at the final part today. We've looked at the address of the sender, the date, and then the address of the recipient, the salutation, the heading. So we are going to continue the final part of outline of formal letters. Have the subscription as what we shall be looking at today. The subscription, as we have over there, we say that the subscription, we say this is written at the bottom right of the paper. So when you have your paper, the right side of your paper at the bottom, when you have finished writing everything you want to. And then in formal letters, this is the only subscription that is required. Yours faithfully. It comes with a compulsory comma. Take note, the first word, yours, must begin in a capital letter. And then the second word, which is faithfully, should begin in the lower case, small letter. And after that, you have to end it with a compulsory comma. So let's assume you have written everything you want. And then you are now to write your subscription. So this is how it comes. At the page of your paper. So yours faithfully, then your comma comes. If you have any question, ask before we move on. Anyone with a question? Good. Then we move on to the next one, which is the signature and full name. And what we say that immediately you write your subscription, which is yours faithfully, you have to sign. And that is how we do. Your signature is followed by your full name. Your full name always comes as your surname and any other names that you have. That is making your full name. So in this case, we have yours faithfully. Then there must be a signature here, your signature. This is the full name of the writer, Christian Ibrahim. So this is what you do for a formal letter. This place, you should have your signature. So if I'm to write it on the board, this is how it looks like. So I have this line indicates my last sentence. Then I write yours sorry, let me correct it well. Your compulsory comma comes. Then your signature comes. So this is my signature. Then the full name of the writer. Over there we have Christian, but let me use your name. Let's assume it is one of you who is writing this letter. You have finished. It's a formal letter. Yes. Rashid, your full name? So it comes as Rashid Ahmed. And this is how it will look for a formal letter. Your subscription, which is yours faithfully, it is only yours faithfully you use in formal letters, and then your signature followed by your full name. Any question? Okay, then we move on. Okay, we are saying that relative versus examining bodies. And what do we mean? Listen carefully, it's very important. Viewers at home, this is a stage where we shall make a slight distinction between what examination bodies require of us and what is actually in the world of business. So let us pay attention and take note of what shall be said in these following slides. We say that it is important to say that places for the addresses, date, subscription. For the letters, we stated by the standard of the West Africa Examination Council. Now, in Ghana and other West African countries, we have a council that regulates our examination up to the highest level. They have a standard. The examining body has a standard to follow. So far, all that we have learned is by the standard of WAEC. That is the shortened form, the acronym, West Africa Examination Council. This is what we mean. So all that we have learned about the format, it is WAEC standard. So if you are a candidate, you have to follow that standard. Do not know what other examining bodies for basic school or elementary schools outside West Africa require of their candidates. Of course, viewers of this program are not only from West Africa. People from other parts of the world are watching and may have different standards their examining body require of them. I do not know what in other countries that are outside West Africa, what their examining body require of them. So what we have learned is for West Africa Examination Council. So examining bodies have sets of standards that candidates must adhere to. And I want us to remind ourselves of something. This is what we have studied. So far as a requirement of WAEC. And that is that the first address is for the sender. And then after that, you have your date. And then the second address is for the recipient, the one you are writing to. Then the salutation comes, followed by comma. And then your heading or your title comes. And this is your salutation, which we just went through. This is how the format looks, or this is how the format should be for WAEC. Whether you are writing the Basic Education Certificate Examination or you are writing the JHS Certificate Examination. The sender's address is always at the top right side of your page. Immediately after it, you have your date. And then the recipient address is on the left side. The next line after your date, which we went through, I'm just reminding you as well as the viewers. Then your salutation follows. And then you have your heading, and then all that you want to write, the body comes. Then when you are done, the next thing is your subscription at the right bottom of your page. But this is not what the world of business does. This is not the right thing the world of business does, and that's what we need to know. This distinction is important because not people who are only in basic school or with the West Africa examination are watching the program. So that's why we are making the distinction. Now let's see what generally should have been the case. We say students who do not write West Africa examination should follow the outline their teachers give them. Generally, in the world of business communication, the format for the outline of letters is different from what we studied for WAEC examination. Below is the format known in the real world of business. So this is important, and then we need to look at that very well. Good. I'll pause, and if you have any question before we continue from there, then you ask before we get there. Yes?
The name after your subscription.
Yes.
The name you write.
Yes.
Can you put a punctuation or?
How? Is it that your name comes with a punctuation?
No, after you write the name.
After you've written your name?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You have written your signature, you've signed, right?
Yes.
Then you have written your name. You're asking whether there should be punctuation.
Yes.
What punctuation do you have in mind?
Like full stop.
When do we use full stop? At what point in time do we use full stop?
At the end of a sentence.
So is your name a sentence?
Simply by the.
No, take your time. Is your name a sentence?
Simply no.
So you don't need to use full stop there. We have other uses of full stop, but with where you are coming from, full stop is used when you have made a complete statement, right? And you have ended it. So you do what? You end your statement. So that's where full stop comes. But when you write your name, it's not a sentence. You agree?
Sure.
Good. So you don't need to put full stop over there. That's a good question. Any other? Okay, then let's go on. Now let's see the real thing. So that if you are out of BEC standards, you are not writing for BEC or SHS. That's not what you are writing for WAEC to mark. In the world of business, what you should write. For example, you are a student in school and you are writing to your authorities. How should you go about it? Or you have finished JHS or SHS and you want to write. How do you go by? How is the format? Let's look at that. We said the addresses, date, and the subscription must all be written at the right side of the page. Sorry, that is left. At the left side of what? The page. The address, date, and subscription must all be written at the left side of what? Our page. And then we say colon marks off the salutation, not comma. What we mean is that we have our salutation. Example like dear sir. We learned that when you write your salutation, what comes after it? Comma. That is WAEC. That's what WAEC wants you to do. But in formal letters, this is not what you should do. In formal letters, you can do this in informal letters. But in formal letters, if you are not writing for WAEC to mark you, this is how you should write it. Dear sir. With a colon and not comma. Do you understand? Don't get confused. This is for WAEC. This is real writing. We are continuing. We now want to display how you should do it. The first part is the writer's address with the date. See where it is placed? The writer's address and date, not at this side of the page. I'm now writing my recipient's address, and that is where I'm coming to. I am done. I'm not explaining these things because we've gone through them, right? Good. Then my dear sir comes. Check clearly. It's a column. Because we have so many on the slide and they must all appear. You may not, but try. That's a column there. This is how it is. And then your heading follows. Then the last thing, your subscription. Sorry, let me go back so that we see. Good. Now I'm explaining. The first portion, the white colored, is the address of the sender. And then the reddish one is the date. This address is punctuated address, you know that. On the left side of the page. Then the yellow colored address is for the recipient. Here it is the Director of Education for Savrugu District who is receiving it. Then the blue colored is the salutation with the column there. Then we have our heading or title neatly underlined. You have finished writing whatever you want to write. The body is there. Let's assume that the whole of that line there, the two lines represent our body. You have finished writing. Yours faithfully, your subscription. The space there should be your signature and then your full name. This one is Equia Philip who is writing. Good. This is how the format for a business letter should look like. This is how a business letter should look like. But if you are writing for WAEC to pass your examination, WAEC says that you should use the other one we have stated. Any question? Viewers at home, we remind you that the format out there for the world of business, that is when you are writing business letters. When we say business letters, we mean letters we write to institutions. Either you are a member of that institution or you are outside that institution, but you are writing to. These are formal letters. What we have on the screen right now is how the format should be, and we need to take note of. The sender's address, the date, the recipient address, salutation, and the subscription. They're all aligned to the left side of our page. Of course, there are instances where institutions have letterheads. So you would realize that you do not need your address. The institution has a letterhead, so you do not need the address. So that's the sender's address. The only thing you need is your date and the recipient address, and this is how the format should still look like. Do you have any question, class? Okay, then let's move on. we are looking at the summary of our presentation so far we've done as far as outline of formal letters are concerned. So the following aspects of formal letters were looked at. That is, we looked at meaning of formal letter. Let's remind ourselves, what did we say formal letter means? When we talk of formal letter, yes, what does it mean? What comes to mind? When do we write formal letters? Yes, Orchard.
Formal letters. They are written to institutions.
Institutions.
For institutions.
Okay, that is good. Yes, any idea? Different person? Yes, Ajara? You can't tell me you have forgotten. No.
Formal letters are letters written to people in higher class.
Okay, people in position, not necessarily, I don't know what you consider as, but anyone in position, and you are writing to the person because of the position, is known as what? Formal letter. It can be your head, it can be a district chief executive, it can be the assemblyman of your area, it can be a leader of a community like a chief. They are people in position. These are formal letters. Then we look at the sender's address. It could be punctuated or what? Unpunctuated. Then there's also another form. If it is either punctuated or unpunctuated, yes, another one we looked at was what? Come up, please, Sarah.
Blocked.
Or?
Unblocked.
Or slanted. Good. Then date. The date you are writing your letter. Good. And then we looked at the recipient address as well. Then we looked at the salutation. Then we looked at heading. What do we say the salutation of a formal letter should be like? A formal letter, how should it be like? Josefa, how do you write the salutation of a formal letter?
It should start with a capital letter and end with a comma.
Good. Give us an example. Say it, an example. How?
Dear sir.
Dear sir, good. Any other example? Yes, Ajara?
Head teacher.
Just head teacher or dear head teacher?
Dear head teacher.
Okay, good. And then the heading, what did we say how the heading should be written? There's a way your heading should be written. You've already seen the examples we went through. How should you write the heading of a formal letter? Sarah?
So the heading should be in capital letters and it should be underlined.
Okay. Then we looked at the body. That the body has how many parts? The main body and what? Conclusion. Good. Then we looked at the subscription. The subscription follows immediately after it the signature and what? Your full name. This is what we looked at. We hope you enjoyed the lesson. Viewers at home, we hope you followed us and you enjoyed the lesson. This brings us to the end of the outline of formal essay. We hope to meet you again for our next lesson. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.